Today I'm going to review Spectracide Weed Killer on some of the toughest weeds that we have in the yard, and specifically it's St. Augustine grass. And if you've ever had to deal with this, it's really one of the most obnoxious grasses out there, and it's extremely hard to kill. So we're going to give it a try and see how well it works. One of the reasons I chose Spectracide is because it does not contain glyphosate, which is the active ingredient in Roundup. And I refuse to use it. And I want to try something else that kills the root and also works very quickly. So the manufacturer says that it's rainproof in 15 minutes and you can see results within 3 hours. So I'm going to find out whether that is true or not. The application rate I'm going to do is 7 ounces per gallon, which is the maximum that they recommend. So I'll just start with some of the St. Augustine grass I have here. It's all over the place. I've taken a hoe to some of it, which is some of the dead stuff you're seeing, but it's just everywhere and I can't hoe this effectively and get rid of it. So we're going to give it a try and see how it works. Now the temperature outside is about 65 degrees, which is above the minimum, and it's expected to get into the low 80s today, so I think that'll work out all right. And the time is about 10:15 in the morning. Now one of the reasons St. Augustine is so bad is that it sends out runners, and so it's able to penetrate right through the weed block barrier that I have here, and then it just pops up everywhere. And then here in the front yard underneath the retaining wall, it can go right through any crack and work its way basically anywhere that there's a small opening. So trying to use a weed eater or a hoe it or something just doesn't work, and I'm going to try chemicals. So one thing there's no short of around here is a variety of different types of weeds, and I don't even know what this is, but it shows up in places that I don't want it, obviously. So we'll try it on that too. So it's time to take a look and see how well the Spectracide worked on a variety of weeds. And I'm going to show you some series of photos showing the progress at various intervals. And then after this, I'm going to show a second test where I did a dual application. So everything in here so far is a single application. This single plant does not have access to water, and so it's not growing very quickly. And therefore, it's not dying very quickly. So next time, I think I'll water areas like this before I applied the weed killer. Here is where I decided to do a dual application test. And as you can see, there's a concrete border in there, and anything to the right of that is going to be watered. And then I'm going to spray a second application on that. And the reason for watering is because we want a robust growth so that the Spectracide can absorb quickly. After 24 hours, I can't see too much difference. But when we get into the 3-day period, well, then the results are now very visible and the grass is clearly dying. I often see this type of weed coming up in various places, and I've noticed that they have really thick roots and they go down very deeply. And they're not that tough to kill if I just taken a shovel, but I thought I'd give it a try and see how well the Spectracide worked. So now I'm going to show you the time-lapse photography, and as you notice, when the sun comes out, it starts to slowly wilt, and I start to see some results in about 4 or 5 hours. So that's a pretty encouraging sign. Now as we move into the second day and further, you can start to see some brown patches on the leaves. But what I noticed is after about 3 days, it sort of stopped. So I think this type of weed needs a second application. These side-by-side comparisons show just how much it changes day by day. So when you're looking at it every day, just walking out into the yard, you sometimes can't notice it. But when it really starts to add up, when you look at it from the beginning. By day 3, we're starting to see some dramatic results. There are still some green here and there that might need some spot treatment, but I'm pretty pleased at how well that worked. We're now going to look at the final results and go plant by plant and see how well it worked. This broadleaf plant is almost completely dead after 3 days. There's a little green here and there where I may have missed, but overall, very good results. Now you remember this plant? Well, I just stopped the test after 2 days because I can't hardly even find it. So that worked really well. This is the single application St. Augustine grass test, and it's got a pretty good kill rate, but there's some green here and there. Now moving on to the right of the concrete barrier, this is the dual application test with watering, and it's almost completely dead. And there's hardly any green at all, and so I'm really pleased with this result. The final plant is this St. Augustine grass that's crept its way underneath the border wall, and it didn't have a real good kill rate, so this one clearly needs a dual application and some watering. So after trying this on some real tough weeds, I have a few recommendations in order to make this work better. The first thing you need to do is water your weeds thoroughly. Now this may seem contradictory, but it really works, and I think I've proved that from the side-by-side comparison. The next tip is to do a dual application for your toughest weeds, because I've shown that some of them just can't be killed with a single application. The final tip is to apply in direct sun above 60 degrees and make sure that you do a thorough job so that you have good coverage. So I hope you found this helpful, and I'd sure appreciate a thumbs up. And please click subscribe for the next update where I'll show you how well this worked over time, and we'll find out whether that St. Augustine grass came back or not.